Any other questions? At this point, science and technology, sustainability, yes ma'am.
I had a question for Mr. McDonald. You mentioned that you are pushing nuclear power and exploring clean coal, and I was wondering why you chose those over solar or wind. I
did not choose those over solar and wind. We also work on solar and wind. I testified at the MIT hearing by the Coast Guard and Federal Energy Regulatory Commission for the Cape Wind Project. It's the first offshore wind project. They've been working on it for 4 or 5 years. I was the only environmentalist testifying at that hearing when they first started 4 years ago, 5 years ago. So we really want wind. Unfortunately, environmentalists are opposing wind when it comes up, which is unfortunate. Robert Kennedy Jr. is opposing this project, and some other people, which is unfortunate. When wind projects come, they bring up opposition in local areas. Either they call it scenic pollution or they say it's killing the bats. But we're pushing wind, we're also pushing solar, but you have to look at the numbers, and that's what we look at. The numbers are that 50% of our electricity is produced by coal, another 20% is produced by nuclear, roughly another 20% is produced by natural gas. Then you have about 6-7% from renewables, which is mostly hydro, and you have less than 1% by wind and solar. So we have to look at those percentages. There's a large opportunity there, and I encourage the students to study these issues and do not just listen to one side of the issue. Study it deeply so that you know what you're talking about. I go back then also, that's why we're African American Environmentalist Association. We don't own any component of any of those sectors, whether it's coal, nuclear, natural gas, even wind and solar. Now there's a green movement coming on now that will basically be pushing carpentry, electricians, and plumbers. And I think that's a very good area to go into, in addition to the sciences. So we have to look at the comprehensive ones. So we go for the bang for the buck. We are the SWAT team. We go out where the ugliness is. A lot of people don't like us when we come up with these positions. But it's my opinion that the African American community has to look at the full spectrum of the sector when it comes to environment. So you place global warming, the most important environmental issue facing us today. We don't necessarily focus first on the polar bear. What we know is that a hotter summer cooks up a hotter smog. And if you don't have air conditioning and you have asthma, you have no defense. If you don't have a car, your child is going to suffer getting them to the emergency room. That's what drives me. And many of you out there who've had asthma attacks know what I'm talking about.